Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now, before we get into it, I'd just like to inform you about a new website selling quality current and retro Spurs jerseys, okjersey.com. They sell all current and retro Tottenham Hotspur shirts in all sizes. They sell the current fan and player versions, as well as the 80s and 90s retro shirts, including my very favourite, the 1991 FA Cup final shirt. You can order very easily from okjersey.com, and if you use the code Chris, you will receive an 8% discount off your final order. You can also use the QR code on the top left of your screen. And by the way, they also have some training wear here and the 25-26 colour special edition jersey.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're here on the Spurs Jack podcast talking about another win. How good is that? Another Champions League win, something about the Champions League and Spurs and a European run, essentially, at our home stadium continues. Is that 23 games unbeaten, something like that now? Unbelievable, really. We're live on YouTube, X and Facebook, as always, and we'll be discussing Spurs' 3-0 win against Slavia Prague this evening. As usual, I've got three very special guests with me. I'll bring them on in a moment. I'm just going to show you the match facts and status. That was more like Ange ball tonight, I think that was, than anything else. Spurs possession total is 53% for Tottenham, 47% for Prague, 2.56 XG. That's a lot better, isn't it? Whereas it's 1 XG for Slavia Prague. 16 shots for Spurs, 12 for Prague, 10 on target for Tottenham, and 5 on target for Slavia Prague. Total touches in the opposition box, 32 for Spurs, 17 for Slavia Prague. Goalkeeper saves 5 for Spurs. 5 for Spurs, 8 for Prague. 15 area duels, 1 for Tottenham, 13 for Slavia. 12 fouls committed to 13 for Prague, and 8 corners to Prague's 3. As usual, I've got 3 very special guests with me this evening. Of course, we've got Ricky back with us. Where is he? That way. How are you, Rick?
I am buzzing, my friend. I am absolutely buzzing. So happy to build off of Saturday and go in today in front of Sonny, in front of the home fans, and put on a performance like that. It was end-to-end rock and roll football, but I enjoyed it, and good to see a couple of goals as well. It's just great to get 2 wins in a week, mate. Do you know what I mean? Or in 2 games, man. And so, yes, I'm just happy that we carried on and we've built on that performance, and it's given us some momentum going into these next couple of games. Always happy to be on with you, beautiful gentlemen, on the panel tonight, and always happy and honoured to be on with all of you beautiful people around the world that jump in the comments and hit the like and hit the subscribe. Sending all of you guys big love tonight. But make sure you get involved because it's another Tottenham win and we can all be happy, gentlemen.
Certainly can. We certainly can. Gary, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Just really what Ricky said. It was a really good game, but it was a really strange game. To think there was an own goal and 2 penalties, it doesn't feel anything like that. To think we didn't score in open play is crazy, but it was a bit like watching sort of Ange ball. Definitely felt like that sort of game. Not to put a dampers on it, I think, if Prague was slightly better, we could have been, maybe a little bit concerned. But their finishing was awful. And listen, look, convincing display against Brentford, great display tonight. Like I said, as long as we sort of put in these half-decent performances and get the win, everyone's just going to be lifted and happy. And that's all we want. So happy days, yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it? We didn't score from open play, and we should have done, which we'll get into. On the podcast for the first time, we've got Andrew from Australia, although I believe you're in England at the moment. Is that right? Andrew, I'll let him tell you, but he's written this great book. It's called When the Final Whistle Blows. Glory, grief, and Tottenham Hotspur. If ever there were 2 words in a sentence that could describe being a Spurs fan, glory and grief is definitely it. It's a really good book. It's I'll let Andrew tell you a bit more about it, but it's basically about the last season, and it's tinged with sadness because of the death of your close friend Cameron, who I believe the proceeds of the book are going to. If you just want to give us a little, your thoughts on the book and what it's all about and where people can buy it.
Craig, thanks so much for that. And it's so good to be on this show. I've done a few podcasts, I have to say. since I've been promoting the book. But Mr. Cowlin is the one I've been trying to nail down. And so I'm very grateful to him for letting me come on. Yes, I'm near Manchester, actually, visiting family, which is why it's dark outside as well. So there's Cameron. And as you said, the book ends up being dedicated to Cameron. I'm donating all the proceeds to cancer research. And that's where the book ended up. But where it started off was I had this idea of writing a book. I'd retired from full-time work, was doing a bit of traveling with my wife. And it was the 60th season. So I turned 60 at the end of last season. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to sort of step right into the emotional journey of following Tottenham Hotspur through the season and document it week by week. So that's what I did. I wrote the book week by week. I do a little snapshot of the match or matches that had happened, how I was feeling, some reflections on 60 years of being a Spurs fan, and just sort of ride the emotional journey of the season. And of course, that emotional journey was far more dramatic than I anticipated, partly because, we hit such a low, as you will no doubt recall. And by about February, I was ready to give the book up. It was desperate, wasn't it? If you recall, we're just losing week after. But people said to me, look, we're still in the Europa. Let's see, keep going and see how we go. And then, of course, what happened at the end of the season, of course, we won the Europa, but it so happened that it coincided, as you mentioned, Craig, with the passing of a very good friend, and not just of mine, but of many of the Oz Spurs supporters in Australia, Cameron. And Cameron was able to choose the day that he died, because in Australia we have voluntary assisted dying. And the day that he chose was actually the Monday following the Champions League, the Europa League, I should say, victory. So for us in Australia, and in particular in Sydney, we had this incredible kind of coming together of, and that's really where the name comes from, glory and grief, all happening at the end of the season. So, once that had all happened, I went to see Cameron on the Saturday before he was dying. And it was a really strange situation because we knew he was dying on the Monday. And I said to him, look, I want to write this book. I want to dedicate it to you and donate the money to charity. And he obviously gave me his permission to tell his story. So that's why the book ended up something far more significant than just a Spurs season, in the end. And I'm very grateful to everybody who's bought the book. I'll be very pleased if people would go out and support the book. It'd be a great Christmas present for Spurs fans. So that's my little pitch, if you like. But that's what the book was all about. And it's been an amazing journey. Since I published it, coming on podcasts and getting to know, the Supporters Trust have been helping me out, and various journalists. And I've even been mentioned in the new biography of Tottenham Hotspur, that Julie Welsh's book. And she just updated it, and even she's mentioned me in the book in there. So thanks to everybody who's been supporting me, and that's the story of the book.
That's great, Andrew. So people can get it on Amazon, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you can get it on pretty much any online bookstore, but Amazon's the obvious one. You can get it paperback, ebook, and I've also recorded it as an audio book, because I know a lot of people these days like listening to audio books. So you can get it through Audible. It's even on Spotify, Apple Books, and so on. So yeah, whatever way you like to consume your books, you'll be able to find it.
That's good, but you certainly got a fan. I'm guessing this is your daughter.
Hey, it's my daughter in Australia.
She's saying the book is a great read, so go out and buy it. As Andrew says, you can buy that on Amazon and get it in a load of places by the sound of it. And if audio books your thing, get it on your normal streaming platforms.
That's it.
Anyway, thanks for that, Andrew. On to the game tonight. Ricky, what did you make of tonight's game overall?
Oh, mate. Oh, today. Wow. Well, for me, it was more important that we followed up that good performance against Brentford and all of the good work that we done against Brentford today in the Champions League. To me, the cup games, but especially the Champions League, is really special and important to me. There's been sometimes we've been in the competition and, we haven't gone for it or we haven't shown up. And after winning Europa League last year, I really wanted us to show this competition what we was about. Now, however far we go is however far we go. But I wanted to put in good performances and show the world what we're about. And it's been a topsy-turvy one. It's been a topsy-turvy season. But after seeing them play so well against Brentford and should have scored more to go into the Champions League tonight and put on that type of performance, it was really encouraging to see. There was a lot more shackles that was off the team, which was great to see. It was an attacking team. I think some of the yellow cards were soft in the first half. Yeah. They were a bit kind of against us a little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't think Van der Ven's one was a real kind of yellow card. I don't think I can't remember who was it. Van der Ven,
Xavi Simons.
Yeah, Van der Ven. Yeah, Xavi. Yeah, there was a couple in there, but I just thought they were pretty soft.
Yeah, they were.
But overall, we went at it, and I think there was a lot of relief, release in this performance. I think everybody wanted to, after that performance against Brentford, I think everybody wanted to go in tonight and continue that momentum and to take it forward. And that's why at times it could have been called Ange ball or a little bit scrappy at times. We did let them in a few times too often, but mostly with long shots. We have been hurt by long shots, very recently. So there's bits and pieces to take away from it. Maybe a bit more organised. They were less organised. It was all over the place. I mean, Romero was up front how many times tonight? But there were really good performances all over the pitch. Again, another good one for Archie Gray, I felt. Him being able to just dictate tempo and go from covering the wing back or the centre back to being industrious in midfield and then trying to make something happen up top as well. Fantastic. Spence, again, very immense. We're so lucky to have a player that is able to play on both sides, but when he is on the left, he can be utter devastation out there just with his running power and his will to get forward, and it feels like he's found that fire back. Richie was on his toes tonight, should have scored a couple, I felt, but overall a better looking performance from Richie. Odebear, very bright, very tricky. He seems to be getting back to 100% full fitness, and you can see that he's starting to kind of find his feet, and we can start to see the flashes of where he can be dangerous. But for me, Xavi, Simons and Kudus today were absolutely astronomical. Xavi got kicked up and down the field tonight. They were zooming in on his dirty kit, because he just was kicked up in the air so many times and was on the floor so many times through challenges. But he rode challenges. He was tenacious. He was ready to create. He was always looking up. He seems to have exploded and to start to find his way. And even that kind of little back and forth with Romero to take the penalty and for him to put it away, fantastic. We saw some a lot of maturity tonight as well. Richarlison letting Kudus have that first penalty, and then Romero being the captain and going, go on, Xavi, you need to build on this. You need to continue to build on your momentum and that energy you've got and the performances that you're putting in. He's starting to really find his way at Tottenham, and thank goodness, because you can see what a dynamite player he's going to be for us. But yeah, really, really happy overall. And for it to be Sonny's homecoming as well. The mural by Murals, those boys, I've worked with those boys before. They done the dot mural. So I got to meet them and have a chat with them. Really, really good guys. And those are the same guys that done Sonny's and Kane's. But they done Sonny's today. And for him to have his homecoming today, be in that stadium, for us to be off of the back of a good performance, good win, Brentford, but then go out there and show that in the Champions League in front of Sonny, I think they were all amped up. I think they was all ready for it. And I think that's why there was the sliding challenges and the big tackles and the shots and the aggressiveness. There were so many good things. Sometimes a bit scrappy, but so many good things. And I think it all just culminated tonight. Hopefully this is the springboard again that we can now take forward, and we can now start to see what a Frank's Tottenham looks like, and I'm just so happy to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of positives to take from that game. Well, as Ricky said, Gary, obviously, we know the score, 3-0 Tottenham. Zima with probably one of the best own goals I've ever seen.
Yeah, great.
Zimmer.
Zimmer.
And then the 2 penalties in the second half. And of course, at the moment, as it stands, Spurs are 11th. I think Liverpool got a last minute, or certainly last 3-minute penalty. Otherwise, we would have been, in 8th. So early days. But what do you make of it, Gary?
Yeah, I thought it was a good game. I mean, like what Ricky said, I was a bit frustrated with the ref. I mean, it's a shame you can't be in these sort of games now and sort of leave a bit on a player and do these sort of tackles, because it gets the fans up. It sort of sets the precedent for the game. But sort of any sort of half tackle or anything now, I mean, I thought it was crazy the yellow for Van der Ven. That frustrated me. So I was shouting at the TV a bit for the ref. Yeah, he annoyed me. But other than that, I did think it was a good performance. I thought we were a bit open at the back and stuff. But I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I would rather that than a 0.0 XG. Let's take chances and risks and let's go for it. Like Ricky said, you look, Romero's up front, and they're not tracking back in time. But I don't mind that as long as we're having a go. Xavi Simons, I just thought was amazing tonight. I was so happy for him. I just saw on the video clip you showed, Craig, he got man of the match. I think Kudos could have had man of the match, but when I was watching that game, what kind of sort of stuck out for me was not necessarily individual players. We just played as a good team. It was just a good Tottenham team tonight. And we was leaving a little gaps here at the back, and there was, you could argue a slightly better team, we may have been punished, but I thought we'd done really well. Another clean sheet, 3 goals. I mean, you could say, okay, they could have had 1 or 2, but we could have had 5 or 6, really. We had a lot of opportunities, I do agree with Ricky with a bit with Richarlison. I do think he was sprite and he was running around and making a nuisance of himself. But I do think he's got to get them goals. They were on a plate pretty much. So I think it was harder to miss it than score. But at least he's getting into positions and he's trying. So that I'm happy with. When you're looking at games, go back earlier in the season, you look at games against Chelsea and stuff like that, Craig. And then you look at a game tonight. We're not going to have everything our own way, right? So I'll take a 3-0 win with us being a little bit dodgy and open at the back, and maybe there have been a couple of chances that Richarlison should have buried. That is a much better podcast and conversation than us just losing 1-0 to Chelsea and creating nothing. So for me, I'm really pleased. I did feel like we might concede near the end, but we didn't. We kept the clean sheet. So I mean, we've scored like 7 goals in 3 games. I mean, We've done pretty well, cut the clean sheets. Probably only should have really conceded 1 to Newcastle, because that was never a penalty in a million years. So it's not bad. It's not bad stats. And as you say, I mean, I still can't really wrap my head with the difference between the Champions League form and the Premier League form at home. It's actually mental, but it's good. It's good in a way.
Yeah.
We are performing great, and I'm happy for that. So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we've had I'm reluctant to say turning point, because the Newcastle game, we was there's certain elements of luck to that. We've got to remember the first half, and that wasn't particularly good at all.
No,
Brentford were poor, but we got the job done. Absolutely clean sheet. And tonight, the as King Hoddle said quite rightly, I totally agree with this. This is very open and unstructured football. We work well because the vast disparity in quality between us and them. But you can't play like that in the Prem. Absolutely, totally agree with that. We would have got found out tonight. So that's the only minor moan I'd have about it. But, we got the job done. I think tonight for me was just about getting the 3 points, to be honest. Definitely. Nice little distraction, the Champions League. And the interesting, Gary, you say about Xavi Simons, all 8 of Tottenham's wins in all competitions since Xavi Simons signed have been with him in the starting 11. So that's an interesting stat.
Yeah, his confidence is. I don't know about you boys, but honestly, after Newcastle, Brentford, this game here, his confidence is flying. He's so good on the ball, man. He's just so good. I don't know how he got a yellow, though. It's ridiculous. But listen, he played great. I thought he was really, really good, man. And that's all you want to see. You want to see players like that, sort of attacking, confidence, going for it. And I love, like what Ricky mentioned about the penalty thing. I'm glad he got the penalty. It was a little bit, reminded me slightly of the Dane Scarlett thing, when really Richarlison should have given Dane Scarlett that, and Elisa Romero was big enough to go, no, there you go, bang. You've won the penalty, you score it. And he did, and it was great. Yeah. And I just thought it was a really good team Tottenham performance. Look, we're not playing Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, right? We're not going to get overly excited. We've been here before with games like Copenhagen and stuff and then lost. But you've got to be positive tonight. It was a good win. I'm happy.
Absolutely. Andrew, what were your thoughts on the game? Gary makes a good point there, doesn't he? I mean, I think, you can only beat what's in front of you, is the old cliche, isn't it? And essentially, the team tonight was really more a Europa League team, I would suggest, than Champions League, but they've earned the right to be there, but you've still got to beat them, haven't you?
No, that's right. I mean, I think that Gary asked the question about, what's the difference about Europe and Premier League, and the difference is in intensity. And you see that, and you could see that today. Not that Fulham had much intensity, but generally speaking, you don't get time on the ball. You're going to get pressed in the Premier League, and you're going to get found out. They weren't pressing us at all. They weren't playing with any pace. And what it allowed us to do, I thought, was to have a real good confidence builder as a match. Coming off the back of the Brentford game. Brentford, I mean, not Fulham. The Brentford game, where obviously we got a good result. But did you notice through the game, and particularly through the first half, how we grew in confidence in our play? So early on, you've got these horrible balls that Vicario knocks up long, and Richie falls over and they get the ball back. And we do that 2 or 3 times before we realise that's not how you play football, right? What you do is you give it to Romero. He acts as a sort of quarterback. He either plays it outside, sideways, or plays a nice ball into midfield. And we started to do that more. We started to play some proper football. And we realised that we were a damn sight better team than them, so we could do that. And we were going to get away with the fact that every now and again, we were caught, particularly on the right. I thought in the first half they had some good opportunities, but they were pretty blunt as an attacking force, and we got away with it. Really, it could have been 5-1, 5-2. Probably would have been, we wouldn't have batted an eyelid had that been the outcome. So that was my overall thought. I thought it was a good confidence builder for us against a team that didn't really play very well with much intensity. So the interesting thing next week, I think we got Forest, didn't we, at the weekend, will be, getting back into, can we play with quality and confidence against an intense a team that comes at us. And my first season ticket at Spurs was in 1975, right? So I've been watching them for quite a long time, and all through that time, and we know that this idea of Tottenham as a football playing good quality football, we've always struggled with teams that have really got in our face, or as long as I can remember. So that's really the key for me. If we can really play our football against teams that are up, big press. We've got to play through them, got to play our football and stay tight at the back. When we can get to that, then I think we're on a different footing. And I think we're on a journey to that. I agree with what you've all been saying. It's a really positive day. Good result, good confidence booster, I thought.
Yeah. You know what you were saying there? Yeah. Do you know what, gents? I think that there's been so much disarray, right, with Frank at the helm, with especially the performances that we've been putting up. We might have been structured before, we might have been organised at the back, but some of the performances on non-performances have been horrendous. That Chelsea game, that Gooner game really kicked me in the stomach. I really didn't know where we was going. And then Fulham was, I didn't get to see Fulham. I only got to see the highlights of Fulham. But then I was like, oh my goodness, we're a joke now. Like, I didn't know where we was going. I really didn't. Even when you look at that Newcastle game, right? For me, I was on with Craig and with Gary.
Yeah, you wasn't happy after that game, Ricky.
It was the performance, right? I was so happy with Captain Romero and what a performance he put in. But it was almost like he was there to rescue us, right? And Craig said at the time, but this is where hopefully this stops the rot. And it was one of those performances. Now, yes, I was negative about our performance because I was in disarray about what was happening and where we was going as a side. Right? But we got a point out of it, right? And Newcastle's a really hard place to go, but we know this as Tottenham fans. But then to see the performance, if we would have turned up a structured side against Brentford, right, and won it 1-0, I still would have been discouraged, and I still wouldn't have been convinced about what direction we're going in. for me, the Brentford game was a true team performance because 1 to 11, I felt they all knew what they were doing. They all went out there with a game plan. There were so many players that shone, and we could see some creativity and we could see some expression going forward, as well as some structure at the back. So to do that in the Prem, right? So we've done that, and it was a really good team performance. Every time we've had a few green shoots, the next performance has been off the cliff again. So to be able to build on the performance, tonight we talk about Slavia Prague. After Brentford, we talk about Brentford, but we've gone up against Fulham, Wolves, Bournemouth. We've gone up against a few sides where we have looked like we haven't been at the races either. So to do it against Brentford, his old side, really important for Frank, really important for the boys. And for me, to see the team, because I started to get into disarray with the boys themselves, as in, are they convinced with Frank? Are they on board with his plan? Brentford, we saw a turning point in performance, right? In the way that they played. And today, I think it was stupidly, immensely important that they continued in a performance-driven, result. Yes, we got the result. Most of us would have bet that we would get a result tonight by hook or by crook. But it's the way. It's the way, because Monaco, Bodo Glimt, there's been a couple on this road where I've been like, what are we doing? Do you know what I mean? So we even Villarreal, I was a bit like, okay, maybe not, right? But we're here. And we managed to build on our best performers as well. Kudos tonight, again, on fire the whole night, because there's belief in him and he's got belief in himself. And you saw him play against Brentford. He was dynamite against Brentford. And to build on that performance, another one where he used his strength. He was a menace to them. Xavi, to be able for Xavi to build on Saturday's performance after his troubles and strifes and adaptation and trying to find his way in this new Tottenham side, fantastic. Odegaard being allowed to express, even Tell, I've really got high hopes for him. I don't know where he's going to fit in, but he's looking like he's ready to express and show people what he's about, because he can see his mates
score,
he can see his mates doing it right now. So it was really important. Even Richarlison, right, which I've been critical over in this period where I'm like, oh my goodness, is he gone back to the old Richarlison? But Brentford and tonight, he was running in rhythm. He was running on his toes. And yes, he should have scored at least 2 tonight. But there was an energy about him where I was like, there was something about his chest today that he wants to do something. Yes, he was all over the floor as per usual, but he wanted to do something tonight. And the way that he ran and was with the team, I was like, oh, okay. So there was loads of positives on tonight, but I think the biggest one is performance, regardless of opposition, because we've been here before. We've been here before against sides that we should have beaten just because we're better than them. And because we didn't turn up and we overestimated them, we came home losers. So tonight, I think it's really important that the performance side of things was continued. Now we can go into Nottingham Forest confident.
Yeah, let's hope so. Absolutely. We've had it's 2 ways of looking at it. Like Villarreal at home, Copenhagen, and now Slavia Prague. 3 teams that you could say Villarreal. I expected them to be better than they were. So would you kind of want those games away, or would you want them at home? I mean, I suppose at home, if you win your home games in this Champions League, the way it works, you're generally guaranteed 12 points of getting through to at least the playoffs sort of round. So, if we can win our next home game, the last home game, fingers crossed we'll get there. I think we will actually, and even push into the top 8. Gary, what did you make of the lineup this evening? I hate this number order, by the way, but it was Vicario. I'm going to try and do it in
Me
the
too.
We all know on the pitch. Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, and Spence. And then you've got Gray in the centre midfield with, oh my word, Paulinia, sorry. Yeah, and then you got Javi, of course, Kudos, Odegaard starting on the left, and Richarlison up front. God, I hate that. I wish they would change it. Gary, what did you make of
I wasn't
such
really
hard work. Why do they do it?
I don't know.
so bad. Anyway, sorry, Gary, carry on.
Yeah, it's all right. No, I wasn't too surprised with that. Listen, I get it. You know, we're having like 2-3 games a week. He's going to change it up and stuff. But I think we started well. I mean, listen, look, we could have scored after 30 seconds, right? So it wasn't a bad start to the game. And I think everyone in their positions and stuff. I know we talk about Romero coming out of it, but that's not a bad thing when you think of, you know, Van der Ven, how many goals he's got. I don't mind them guys going forward, and Romero. They can score a goal or two, as we know. But I thought we set up really good. I thought pretty much everyone. I'm looking through that list now. No one had a bad game. No one. You know, there's normally you come away from a Tottenham game and you're so frustrated with certain players and stuff like that. But that was a nice balance. It worked well. Another day, you know, we could have scored probably 5 or 6. Yeah, we may have conceded 1 or 2, but most definitely with that team out there, we were comfortable. You know, I mean, listen, look, you could argue you could have changed that team around slightly and we probably still would have got the same result. Yeah, but do you know what it was for me? It just felt right, the team. It flowed. It was good. Just sometimes when we make these changes and we're not getting going and it goes forward and goes back and there's nothing in midfield, but it just felt good. You know, I watched that game tonight and there wasn't any part of me that thought we wasn't going to score or create. And as a Tottenham fan, as we all know, that's what we want. We just want to see, you know, opportunities, creating stuff on the front foot. And we got that with that team. So it's brilliant. And then it brings us on to Sunday. Obviously, there's going to be a few changes, but we can make that now. Just very frustrating. We're going to lose Van der Ven, aren't we? We're going to lose him for, is it Dortmund?
Dortmund, yes.
Yeah, which is frustrating because I don't think it was a yellow. People might say I'm biased because I'm a Tottenham fan, but I don't think it was. I don't think Xavi Simons did any other Tottenham. Was it just Simons and
it was Paulinho as well. The Paulinho
he got
challenge, which that wasn't a yellow either.
None of those were yellow cards. All 3 of them, innit? None of them.
Van der Ven didn't touch his face. I'm sorry, it was just
he didn't.
That's where I think VAR should.
It's frustrating.
Get
I know you're going to get
yellows,
other fans on the podcast saying, "Oh, you know, you're being biased and everything," but they're very, very soft.
No, I don't think it was.
You know, this is what I spoke
consistent
about.
though, wasn't he? To be fair, you know, he was giving them both ways. I mean, it was just a European referee. They're different, right?
I think that's what it is. I was about to say that. You know, when you're in the Champions League or Europa League, that's what you have to expect. It's like the handball decision. Things that you look at and you think that's never going to be a handball, and probably in the Premier League wouldn't be, but in the Champions League, Europa League, they're given. I think that was the only frustration. But that's not a bad thing when I'm looking at the team. And the only thing that's really frustrating me is the referee and no Tottenham players. Which, if you think the last sort of, I don't know, certainly last, 7 or 8 games, there was a lot of frustration from a lot of players out on that pitch, man. You know, Vicario, for example, there was a lot, yeah? So Vicario did what he needed to do tonight. He wasn't too bad. I think they were all pretty good. But my only qualm really is the ref because he was blowing up a lot and it was just sort of stopping the game a bit. So, but apart from that, it was... Yeah, I was happy with the team lineup, and they've done exactly what I thought. I thought we'd win 3-0. We did, and there was no surprises for me. So happy days.
Yeah, I thought the ref. I genuinely thought I had to do a double take. I thought it was Novak Djokovic referee, and he was a spit of him, wasn't he? He really was. As Andrew said, as you said there, it's European referees, isn't it? It's you're going to get some decision, you know, they're going to blow for certain decisions, and it just is what it is, isn't it? Just come around to you, Andrew, on the match incidents. On the first minute, Gary mentioned it there. Richarlison has a shot saved brilliantly by the Prague keeper in the first minute. We won't go through every single match incident because it was a bit end to end, and we'll be here all night. But that goalkeeper tonight for Prague, I think he
played well, didn't he?
Outstanding shot stopper, and that save from Richarlison was just such a good reflex save. But what's your views on Richarlison? Richarlison's had a fair bit of stick on this show.
Yeah, Craig, you haven't read the book, have you? Otherwise, you wouldn't be asking me.
I did have a look through, and I that's kind of why I prompted you, because that did stick out. So why don't you share your views?
Look, I'm sure he's a very nice man and he loves his kids and everything, but I don't want him playing centre forward for Tottenham Hotspur. That's my view. I just don't think he's good enough. As simple as that, really. And I think, again, when we praise him for his energy, and his enthusiasm and all the rest of it. But we need more than that. We need And he has scored a few goals. I'd say he's not completely useless, but that it was a good save that first minute. But he's there to avoid the keeper. He's there to put it in the corners and give the keeper no chance, and he didn't do that.
I think Harry Kane would be burying that. That's the thing, isn't it?
Well, I guess we were all spoilt, weren't we, by Harry Kane? But no, I'm if he were our backup striker, I'd be happy enough. And but who knows what's happening with Solanke? That's a mystery. If anyone knows the answer to that. But no, I'm not. I just don't think he's good enough. That's the bottom line.
Well, he had a second shot on 13 minutes. It was straight at the keeper. Bit of a weak. Well, it wasn't a weak one. Actually, it was a decent shot, but it was right down the keeper's throat. Actually, 21st minute, Kudus crosses, but it's cut out by Prague. Prague actually at this point had a fair few good chances going forward, but you could see the quality just wasn't there. I thought, the touches wasn't on it, and obviously Spurs, the pressure kept paying them. We scored. I'll stay with you, Andrew, for this. The remarkable own goal by Zima for.
The interesting thing was, in fact, I was. My wife was watching it with me, Tracy, and we were talking about how bad the corners had been. I think we'd had 3 corners up to that point. The goalkeeper just plucked it out of the air. And then Romero pulled out a good one. Porro pulled out a good one. Romero got onto it.
Yeah.
And then, as you say, it was a blinding finish by their defender. But it was a good corner. You're going to create these sorts of issues if you put it in the right place.
I'm not sure what he was trying to do. Actually, perhaps head it
I
over
think
the
it was
bar.
I think it was just the reaction. The ball came near him, and he thought, "I better head it because there's somebody behind me." And next thing you know, it's in the net.
Yeah, absolutely. Ricky, does it bother you a little bit that Spurs have not scored from open play tonight?
I mean, it would have been nice, but you know what? I think that their play was more impressive. Like you read off the stats at the top of the show. And the amount of shots that we had, the amount of shots on target, and the fact that we've had another game off the back of Brentford where we've got an above 0.0 something XG in shots, expected goals. So, so our play was encouraging. Those goals that we got tonight, we deserved them. They, like you speaking there about Richarlison's chance after 30 seconds. Easily that should have been 1-0, and that should have been a sign of the things to come. I think we would have got there either which way, because even in the second half, they came out with the same energy and the same will and want to win that game. They were pushing. It was our attack and play. It was us being on the offensive in their half. It was because of all of those things that the penalties ended up turning up. We ended up getting those penalties. So I think we would have got there, by hook or by crook. I think we would have put at least one away tonight and got the result. But the performance for me, the just seeing all of those boys in flow, like Gaz was talking there, like how the team just fit. There was a lot of fluidity tonight, and that was more important for me. So look, man, it's not like any of those goals that went in tonight were undeserved. Own goal, great corner. The guy panicked. He saw one of our boys on his back shoulder, and he's like, "I've got to do something." And instead, he's buried it like he was looking to score for us. Like
it's a good flick on from Romero, isn't it? That's what.
Great flick on, great,
perfect.
Fantastic, and that confused him, because at that point he's seen the flick and then he's seen a flash of white over his shoulder, so he's had to make something happen. So it was down to us why that happened. Then you look at the 2 penalties and the chances, the Xavi one at the end and then the Kudus one, both nailed on because we had great attacking moves and pressure was on the ball, so they were deserved. So own goal and 2 pens, I will take it, mate. I will take it. But either which way we would have scored, I feel. But again, for me, the performance and building on that was more important.
Ricky, I've got a question for you, if you don't mind. You've been praising Kudus a lot, and I think that's right on the whole. But he frustrates me a bit because he gets on the ball and then he heads off in whatever direction. It's like your goal's over there, mate. And it's like I just think his thought processes are a bit random. It's like, no, come on, you're a winger. Get up the wing and make things happen. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a couple of things I think with Kudus. I think West Ham fans, especially last season, were frustrated. They said sometimes he went missing. I think that it's been a totally different type of team and set up for him. The majority of the season, Kudus has been our only bright spark, especially the first half of this season. He's been our only bright spark. If you look at Vicario, every long ball he puts out is to Kudus. And some of them are hero balls where he's got to control it. Since the third, fourth game, he's been doubled up on, sometimes tripled up on. So there are times where I feel that he's found it frustration, but we've tried to play through him all the time. What is good about him is that he does have a spark of creativity in him and a bit of improvisation in him. Sometimes you need a player that doesn't know what he's going to do until he does it.
How's the opponent going to know if he doesn't know himself, right?
It's exactly that. But there are times tonight, Andrew, I do agree with you. There are times where he dipped, he turned, he had the ball. I'm like, now pass it. And sometimes he held on to it too long. I think he was really hungry to score tonight, but he was really hungry to make an impact tonight. So if you look at, how many crosses he got in, how many times he beat his man, how many problems he created, I think it was that same defender, Zimmer, he got a yellow card because he couldn't handle him at all. There was time they tried to wrestle him. So he's spoken about it in a BBC interview not too long ago, but he spoke about it in the press conference again. They spoke about when he was growing up, he played on sand and he wouldn't know which way. You wouldn't know which way the ball's going to bounce. So that gives him his close control and that gives him his improvisation. So to be able to be a trickster, an impact player, as strong as he is, and be able to read the bounce like that, I think it's a really good thing. There's certain things that have to be polished with him. I think we forget how old he is as well, but there's certain things that have to be kind of refined. So if you look at the Brentford game, I think it was Romero and someone else in midfield. They had a go at him. Oh, I think it was Mickey. But when he flicked it up and he flicked it back into, and it was almost like on a Brentford. It could have been a Brentford counter-attack if he didn't then pick it up again and flick it the other way. And they had a go at him. And those things are right to kind of go, all right, cool. Do your stuff, but do it in their half of the field. So I think little bit by little bit, the more he finds his feet and the team starts to understand him, I think we can get the finished article come out at Tottenham. I think we will see it. We're going to have performances like tonight, and a bit of performances where nothing's going on and then he starts going off. But majority of the time, 7.5 / 8 times out of 10, he is getting past. There are times he needs to pass it quicker or cross it quicker or find his man. I think that's coming, but I think that his improvisation and the fact that he's a bit erratic at times is going to be a plus for us. Because once that gets refined, he's going to be absolutely dangerous, So I think he's going to be a really dangerous, strong player. I think there's going to be more assists, more goals, and I think he's going to be a player that the league, whichever one we're playing in, are going to be fearful of. So there is refinement there, Andrew, but I think that the things that he's doing is good, and we're playing into him. A lot of the ball, especially in the first half of this season, has been played into him because he's the only one that can hold it and then flick it and then try and make something happen. So so a lot of the time, he's been relied upon to do something, to make something happen. Now that we're flowing and we're clicking, he can now rely on his teammates. If you look at how confused they were tonight with Xavi and Kudus, they didn't know which one to pick up, but they knew both of them were trouble. That's why they left.
And also Spence and Odebear up the left were linking up really nicely as well. So,
So now that those things can happen, he's not the only one that can make something happen. Now those things are starting to click. Now those things are starting to happen. We're going to see a better, more refined play. Because look how many attacks went down the left. It didn't just go down to Kudus.
Yeah.
So we're finding it. As we're finding our feet, as that up front is clicking, we're finding it. And he will in turn will be relied upon to do less, but more effective. I think that's coming.
I hope that Odebear actually continues because he does look dangerous, but he just hasn't quite got that where he's slinging in crosses all the time or just making a real danger. You know, he's obviously assisted Richarlison's goal against Manchester United, which was great, but just want to see a bit more from him. Hopefully it will come in time. Gary, coming round to you, 38 minutes, Sadliek, I think his name was, again, forces Vicario into a save. And all I wrote then, he was a very odd first half, really frantic at times, and a bit messy for Spurs at times, but obviously we're going to the break 1-0 up. Gary, I know you want to talk about this guy. I'm sure you all would, but how good was it to see this man back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, I think you've probably got to take that into account with the players, why they come out so fast and up for it like they did. They're probably, you know, they know Son's there obviously and stuff, and they want to put on a decent performance for him. But yeah, listen, I'm just so happy for him that we ended the you know, his career, his season, his time at Tottenham with a trophy and a European trophy, because look, let's be honest, as you know, Son and as Tottenham fans, we would have taken any trophy for him, you know. But it was just nice to get that Europa League. We couldn't get the Premier League or the Champions League, but you know, we got the third best one. But I think that was probably what made a difference to the team and the players tonight. And I think, you know, they're aware of it. They want to put on a good performance for Son. You had all the stuff before the memorial, you know, everything there, and you know, they know this guy's a legend and stuff, and things like that will lift your game. But it's interesting, like Andy said about Kudos, because it's, you know, everyone sees players differently in that. And I watched that game tonight and thought to myself, I couldn't pick a man in a match between Xavi Simons or Kudos. And I think this season he's been probably our best player, Kudos. But, you know, everyone has opinions and everyone sees players differently. And sometimes they notice things more on players than anything else. But the only thing I ever noticed with Kudos is one word: strength. And I don't see that strength of any other player, only Kudos. And that might be why I might be slightly blind to the rest of the stuff. I don't know. But for me, he's had a great season. This man here, though, it was nice for him to come back, get a proper send-off, and, you know, us get a win. Because, God, it would have been horrendous if we'd have got a 0-0 or even lost, you know. So, no, brilliant. So, yeah, really pleased. And, look, what can you say about Son? You know, 10 years at the club. And, you know, we spoke about this a lot, Craig. He was more loyal in some ways and stuff than what Harry Kane was. And we all love Harry Kane, and he's a legend of the club. But, you know, when the talks were there that Harry Kane was going to leave and move to Man City and, you know, conveniently wasn't ready to start the season with Tottenham, and I can't remember if he said he was ill or whatever it was. Son was there, you know, ready to sign a new contract, never listened to any of the outside noise, never got involved in any of the city conversations, didn't play golf with a certain Sky guy and sort of talk about other clubs. So for that, you know, full respect. And I'm glad he just ended with a trophy.
Yeah,
can I tell you how I described him in the book? And I'll quote it to you.
Yeah,
a world-class player and a world-class human being. That's how I see him.
Yes,
100%. He was never, you know, it was weird with Son because there was never that many rumours about him leaving Spurs. And even when there was, he was quick to come out and shut it down, wasn't he? Which, because I love Harry Kane. I love Harry Kane, but Harry Kane left, Son stayed, and for me, that makes Son, even though Kane's out.
Don't forget the interview, Craig, when he's playing golf and that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And Son stayed, so he's more of a Spurs legend in my eyes than Harry Kane.
Agreed.
And, you know, I love Harry, but you know, he left essentially. Son stayed, and he got his just rewards. Ricky, do you want to add anything else quickly about Sonny?
No, just with Gaz, you know, like he said there about one of our legends, one of our captains, one of our most, you know, dedicated and loyal players, for him to be able to leave with that trophy as captain, wow, absolutely immense. And some of my most treasured favourite memories ever of Tottenham Hotspur. Do you know what I mean? For me to be able to be on the parade with you, Craig, and do you know what I mean? And just be celebrating.
Amazing, wasn't it?
Oh, there's just so many things, man. But and for him to be lifting it. But you know, we saw Harry Kane leave to win trophies, and we saw Hugo leave, and we saw so many of our Toby leave, and Jan leave, and Gareth leave, and Teddy Sheringham leave, and Michael Carrick leave,
man.
Berbatov. Do you know what I mean? We've seen so many.
Yeah.
Leave our club to go and win, and for
Modric.
Sonny. Yeah, Modi, you know, for Sonny to stay and make it happen and be able to lift that, like, and then come home. And he wanted to come home.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted to come home as well. He got the farewell in South Korea, but for him to want to come home during Christmas time, you know, just to see the boys and say a proper goodbye to all of us. Bless you, Sonny. Love you. You've got my heart forever, bruv. Yeah, man. Just immense player.
Top
man.
Yeah. And if they ever make statues, I hope they make one of Sonny. I know Daniel Levy wasn't keen on them, but Sonny's got to have his own statue. Andrew, let's come back to you. Second half kicks off. Within 5 minutes, Porro is scythed down in the box and Kudos scores from the spot. I'll show you pictures of this, but it was a foul, wasn't it? And
it's such a stupid foul.
Kudos.
And I must admit, when I saw it first, I thought, well, that was like a nothing incident, really. You know, and they both fallen over. But when you see the replay, you think, hey,
You're right,
he was going off the pitch.
I thought it wasn't actually a penalty at first. I thought surely he hasn't taken him down there because he wasn't going anywhere, was he?
It made no sense, did it?
No, but in slow-mo, you could see in it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and then Kudus just kicked it through down the middle, and the goalkeeper leapt out of the way. So that was happy days. There you go.
Yeah, I actually thought it was further in the corner than it was actually. But when they showed it from the sort of front angle, it was clear that it went straight down the middle, and that's always dodgy because a keeper. I think you can see it from this image. The keeper could get his leg to it if he's hanging his leg out, but it went in. And I think at that point, I was like confident the game was over. I didn't see Prague coming back into it. 52nd minute, Stanic produced another good save from Odebear. This is a keeper again. So, as I say, his value's gone up, if anything.
He was good.
58 minutes, Sarr and Tell. He was superb. So 58 minutes, Sarr and Tell came on for Kudos and Gray. I thought Archie Gray played a decent game tonight, although I've got a feeling Bentancur might come in at the weekend for Archie Gray, perhaps. 68th minute, Davies. Great to see Ben Davies come back on the pitch again. And Kolo Muani. On for Porro and Richarlison. Good bit of rotation, I think, from Thomas Frank there, resting players. 70th minute, there was another chance for Prague. 76th minute, Odebear went off and Lucas Bergvall came on. I'd like to see Lucas Bergvall get a few more minutes than he did, but at least he got on the pitch. And then, Ricky, come out to you, 79th minute, Javi Simmons scores from the spot after himself is fouled. I haven't got a picture of the foul itself, but again, he was kicked to smithereens tonight, wasn't he, Javi Simmons?
Oh, mate, he had half of his kit was green and brown, and the other half was lily white. it was mental. But again, you know, to build on his performance and get that goal as well.
I nearly saved that, though, didn't he?
Oh, mate, it was close. it was fingertips. So I was
close,
so
wasn't
happy.
it?
Yeah, I was so happy.
Got a hand to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's always funny when I see two players fighting over a penalty. I always think, they're probably going to miss it now. Do you know what I mean? Just to have that bit of ruckus, isn't it? He
did that horrible little run up as well, didn't he? Which never gives any confidence.
Yeah, but you know what? Thank goodness he put it away. Again, maturity. I think, I'm going to repeat the fact that Romero wanted to pick it up and smash it. And then gave it to Xavi, knowing what it's going to do for him going into the weekend. That's a beautiful. That is. I love to see that. That's captain behavior right there.
Yeah.
But you've got a question because Richie was on the field for the first one, so I feel that Richie must have said the same to Kudos because it's the first time I've seen Kudos step up to the spot.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, Richie missed one, didn't he, last time?
Yeah.
And
And like Craig was saying there, really and truly, he should have given it to Dane. But tonight, I think that maybe whether he's off pens, I don't know. But maybe he gave it to Kudos tonight and went, go on, Sunshine. You deserve it. You need it. It's going to push you on. And then we saw the same in Romero to do that for Xavi. So two beautiful gestures. They both paid off. Really, really good goal. And to go on to your point about Odebear, Craig, you know what? He should have had at least one assist tonight and one goal, if not again for that goalkeeper and his fingertips tonight. So there were times he's finding it. We've got to remember that players, you know, they do peak and develop at different times. he's seemingly we're seeing more of positive flashes, is what I'm saying, Craig. And yes, all right, cool. You know, you could discount Slavia quality, but the amount of times that he twisted them inside and out and found the overlap pass. Also, there was a couple of passes across the box. He had a shot, you know, on target. There's flashes there, and I think it's, even though it was an end result right tonight, I think there are definitely like positive things to say about Odebe going forward.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that was about it, really. Not much happened after that. Spurs see the game out and finishes 3-0, which, as we know, is a good result. And as Gary said, no Van der Ven for the next Champions League game against Dortmund, so that's going to make it extra tough. But hopefully Kevin Danso comes in, does a job. Yeah, it is
tonight, really.
Well, in Newcastle, we left him on the bench anyway, so he does need the occasional rest, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's right. Well, next up for Spurs, it's a trip to the City Ground to play resurgent Nottingham Forest after they sacked Ange Postecoglou. 2 p.m. kickoff UK time in the Premier League. Spurs have played Forest 8 times at the City Ground, 4 wins for Forest, 3 for Spurs and 1 draw. Last season, we lost 1-0. Gary, any particular lineup you want to see Spurs go with on the weekend, and give us a score prediction?
Do you know what? People are going to hate this, but I wouldn't. I probably would take Richarlison out. I wouldn't want to start Richarlison. I know, Ricky, you're probably not going to agree with that. And Craig, no. Andrew might, but I would like to see him come out. Yeah. Listen, look, for me, I think whatever team he puts out there, we've got a little bit of momentum now. We've been here a few times, right? After Champions League games, yeah, we've got that win. Copenhagen, for example. I think after that, did we lose? I think we lost the Premier League game, right? I think we did after. And I just don't want to see that. I just, whatever team goes out there, start like we did tonight. You know, front foot, and just go for it. Yeah, that's what I want as well. That comment, I think that would be
on Dave Manville, absolutely.
Because I think
I think he will as well.
I don't like singling out players and stuff, and look, I feel terrible to do it because I don't think Richarlison is anywhere near as bad as Timo Werner, because we had very long conversations about Timo.
That's a pretty low bar you set there, Gary.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? And it wasn't so much that save in the first 30 seconds. It was when the ball comes across the 6-yard box and he doesn't even make contact with the ball. It's that second one when I'm thinking, you know, you're a Premier League player, you're on 150,000 pound a week or 200 or whatever you want. You've got to connect with the ball, and it's things like that. Now, in tonight's game, it didn't matter so much, right? But when we go to City and we're playing Forest on Sunday, we're not going to get a lot of chances like that. And when we do, we need someone that's at least going to hit the target, right? So for me, I would just like to see Richarlison come out for Sunday. But as long as we start front footing, I think we'll be fine. I haven't been this confident of late, but I really do think Forest have what? They've lost 8 games this season, right? I think it's 8.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they've lost 8 games this season. So they're more than beatable. I know they had a good result up at Anfield, but generally they're not doing great this season, right? They're quite a bit below us. I know there isn't much distance from the top to the bottom, but 8 defeats. I think we've had what? Well, we had 5, maybe 5. We've had, I think it is. I don't know if these are right, but they're coming into my head at that. So I think we can go up there, and I think we'll be absolutely fine. I really do. You know, so I've got no worries about Sunday. I think it's a win for Spurs, definitely.
I think it'd be an important win, though, wouldn't it? Because
it will be.
Like Ricky was saying earlier, there's this momentum thing happening.
We need it.
2 wins, 3rd win, away in the Premier League, and we're back up.
You're right, Andrew, and Ricky will say the same, and Craig will say the same. We've been on these podcasts after so many wins in the Champions League, right? And then we're buzzing. The next Premier League game comes and we lose, and it's so frustrating.
Because it's a step up, like I said earlier, right?
Forward, 2 back.
It's a whole different level.
Yeah, so I think in some ways it's probably more important than the game tonight, right?
Yeah,
I think we really need to win this. I'm not even talking about a draw. We need to just carry on this, make a couple of tweaks in the team. I get that. You're going to do that anyway. It's not necessarily just because players haven't performed or, I'm hung up on Richarlison's chances, but there's going to be rotation anyway, right? Yeah. But I reckon
they'll bring Benson Kerr back in for Pelling.
Yeah, I think so as well. But I think if you look at the Newcastle game, you look at the Brentford game, and you look at the Slavia Prague game tonight, I think we are slowly just getting momentum and we are improving in every game. So let's just bring it into Sunday. And if we can beat Forest on Sunday, which I think we will, how much better will we feel as a fan base? And how much more confidence will the players have going into the next game? Because after Forest, you know we've got some big games, boys. You've seen that next few games, right? You know who we got in it.
Well, yeah, Liverpool, and you know, you just know, you can hear the Dr. Tottenham thing. Give us a score prediction.
It's a good time to play Liverpool, lads. This is a good time.
It is.
It's never a good time to play Liverpool.
I know what you're saying. I get it. But it is a good time.
Gary, give me a score prediction, Gary, for Sunday.
Oh, bang on 2-0. We're winning 2-0. Clean sheet as well. I think it'll be a comfortable 2-0 win, honestly. I really do.
I'd like that. We'd like that. Well, Andrew, same question to you. And King Arnold makes a really good point here. There's good news on Forest. As things stand, no Aina, if you pronounce that surname correctly, Murillo, no Douglas Luiz or Chris
Okay,
Wood.
that's promising.
Always bloody scores against us.
Yeah,
always. Now, obviously, that could change, but that would be a bonus. And I know we're worrying about the opposition, but I mean, you're saying that more than worrying about Tottenham. I'm always a keen advocate of worrying about what we can do, not the opposition. But we'll take any little win at the moment, won't we?
I'd like to think 2-1, but there's something in the back of my mind that's saying 2-2. It's saying a draw. But, let's go 2-1, shall we?
Oh, it's up to you, Andy.
It's your prediction.
You've got to go with your gut instinct, whatever you feel, man.
You have any? So you say I'll take it. You take Richarlison out this starting lineup, Andrew.
Yeah, I would, and I would. I'd like to see Bergvall getting more time. I think Gray's great. I'm a huge fan of Gray, but the trick is though, if we're going to play Xavi in the position he's playing, can we also play Bergvall with Benny behind? That's a pretty attacking sort of lineup to go away. So maybe it's Benny, Gray, and Xavi with Bergvall to come in later on. Yeah.
Ricky,
Maloney up front, sure.
And look on Richie. Firstly, I would take him out too. I think that the fact that, to get Kolo into the swing of things and get his rhythm up. He's had a stop-starty type of career since he's been here. Never injured, and then obviously gets to Tottenham, no preseason, and gets injured, and then the jaw, and then the this and the that. But he needs a couple of runs. We've seen in flashes from him how many all round, mate, like running behind, head, left foot, right foot. There's a lot going on, So I think if we can get him up to speed, that'd be fantastic right now. So I would do the same. For me, however much I feel about Richie, when he does have a good game, I'm going to say he's had a good game. You know what I mean? I'm not going to just cuss him out just because.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But not so much even good game. If I feel that he performed, I'm going to say it rather than not say it. Do you know what I mean? I try and be fair. Try and be fair with him, man. So I would like Kolo in there as well. A couple of tweaks. Like you boys have said there, I think it's a really important game for this Premier League and for where we are in the table, and if we are going to start pushing. But most of all, to keep this momentum and to keep this positive feeling going forward. I think that Frank has learned from this whole Paulinia Bentancur midfield, and he's putting in like one senior, one holder with some youth and some energy and some box-to-box happening next to him. And then we've got Xavi as a creative up there. I think that seems to be a good recipe so far. So whatever combination he chooses, I look forward to seeing it. But again, it's all about the 3 points on Sunday. So what am I going to go with? Score prediction, always Tottenham to win. You know me. But I'm going to go 3-1. I'm going to go 3-1 Tottenham.
3-1 Tottenham. Okay. It's going to be an interesting game because as we've gone over, the Newcastle first half was pretty dire. Come back into it in the second half and got a point. Brentford was Brentford were terrible, let's be honest, but Spurs won. Spurs did what they needed to do. Brentford hadn't played particularly well away from home at all. Tonight, the opposition were poor. So I think Sunday we're going to get a real feel of where Spurs are. I think because it's not going to be an easy game. However, saying that, I'm going to go for a narrow 2-1 Spurs victory. So I think seeing if those players are out. So I think that's all four of us gone for a Spurs win. So fingers crossed that happens. Gary, thanks so much for coming back and joining us on the podcast. Lovely to always have you on the podcast. What you've been up to, and tell everyone where they can find you.
No, pleasure to be on here, Craig, tonight. I've really enjoyed it. It's lovely. It's always nice being on after a win. I won't go into detail. I've had a bit of a rough week. A lot has happened, family stuff and that. But, if there's one thing, football can really help. And, had some awful news and had to witness some bad stuff. But Arsenal losing in the last seconds, Tottenham winning, you know what? That felt so much better getting in the car and going to work. It really did. Yeah. And I think football is such a great escape. And watching the game tonight and then knowing that I had the podcast has really helped, actually. It's really, really helped me because, sometimes you can be alone with your thoughts and you're thinking about stuff and that, and sharing the show with you guys tonight has been amazing. And on Andrew's debut for a win. So yeah, look, listen, I'm always on Instagram. You can find me. Andrew probably doesn't know my career choice. I'm sure he knows Ricky's. But if you give me a follow, Andy, you'll see where I am most weekends on stage.
Don't follow him. See for yourself.
But yeah, just keeping busy and actually enjoying the football. I will say one thing, which was I really look forward to doing. I hadn't done it in so long. Was getting back from London from my show, sitting down with some lovely food and watching Match of the Day. It was great.
That is very true. Yeah, we were able to watch Match of the Day for once. I've said that many times, and
brilliant.
You're allowed to watch it. Yeah, absolutely. They don't come around very often today.
No.
Andrew, great debut. Thanks for joining us. Do you want to plug your wonderful book as well before you go?
I'll tell you what. The other thing I wanted to mention, I've got my Australia flag, and I'm sure you noticed that the team are coming over to Sydney for pre-season. So I want to invite you all to come, and I'll show you around.
We'll come, won't we, lads?
Bless you. So I'm on the committee of the Oz Spurs, which is the Australian Supporters Club. We have our national every year, and we get everybody to come together. And of course, we'll be doing it when the team come over. So I want all the Australian supporters to come to Sydney, and I want everyone from around the world come to Sydney and have a great Tottenham. A few days. We're playing Chelsea in Sydney. Not that the football's really the thing. It's more about a big celebration, really. So shout out to the Oz Spurs and the Oz Spurs National. And yeah, please, jump onto Amazon, read the reviews, because there's a few nice reviews, what people are saying about the book. And if you'd be so kind as to click the button and buy a copy, I'll be really appreciative. Thanks so much for having me on, Craig. I've really enjoyed it. Great to meet you, Ricky and Gary. And hopefully I can talk about another win again in the future.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Andrew. And finally, Ricky, what are you up to? Where can people find you?
You know where you'll find me. I'll probably be on after Forest on Sunday, more than likely. You can find me on X at Ricky J Norwood, on Instagram, official Ricky Norwood. But I can let you know right now that as of right now, of the last 30 minutes, that episode 6 of Tea Talk and Tottenham is out right now on YouTube. So
good watch, Ricky. I've been watching those.
God, thank you, guys. Thank you, my friend.
Love them.
It's just me and my boy.
It's like Ant and Deck, you two, I tell you.
Mate, I'm telling you. But it's just us ranting and going back.
It's brilliant, though. It's funny, man.
Thank you, brother. We look back on the last 10 to 14 days of Tottenham history. So you know what the last 10 to 14 days has been for us. Do you know what I mean? The last couple of weeks have been for us. So check out episode 6 right now. Tea Talk and Tottenham, all one word. So you can check that out right now. But you know what, bro? There's other things happening, and I'll tell you about that on another show. But I just wanted to say and just pick up on how important football is across the world. Do you know what I mean? How special that this game can be. Yeah. Sometimes as a distraction, a wanted distraction. Yeah. Sometimes as a place to put your aggression, sometimes a moment of joy, but sometimes, most of the time, it's a place where we can all come together. And the fact that we have this pod, and I'm really lucky to be on it for years, to be able to chat to Craig and Gaz and Chris and to meet Andrew. But you look at both of those things. Gaz, I'm sending you and your family so much love, and the fact that you can come out and give yourself and your heart and your head a break through watching the boys and then coming on here with us and letting it out, that is a really special thing. But you look at Andrew as well and his friend Callum there, and you look at what football does, what it brings. There's so many things. People go, why does the game matter so much? And it's because of these things here. It allows us as sometimes closed men, but men that are dealing with so much of life that is so much on our shoulders, to be able to come here and just chat about football. Do you know what I mean? And let that be the vehicle in which we can exercise some of the shizer that's in our chests. So it's really special, not only to be on with you gentlemen, but all you listeners, all of you fans, everyone that's subscribed and been with us for years. It is really special to meet you as a community, in the ground, outside the ground, and to be able to share these moments with all of you around the world. It's such a unifying thing, in the best of times and sometimes in the worst of times too.
And I know we're over time, but can I just add to that? I think I've done about 6 or 7 podcasts, and what's really impressed me is that nobody's competing with each other, right? We've got all these different voices and shows, and everyone's helping each other, and they're always saying, introducing each other, and it is this wonderful global community that we're part of, and that, I reflect on that a little bit in the book as well. But you're so right to point that out, Ricky.
No, love, man. It's this badge that makes us family.
Sorry, Craig. It is, and I think it was it Bill Shankly? No, you're good. I think it was Bill Shankly said, wasn't it? Somebody said that football's a matter of life and death to you. I said, it's far more important than that. Was that what he said?
Yeah,
I think it was. So yeah, absolutely. Football is a massive part of our lives. But yeah, sending you big love, Gary. But you know that anyway.
No, I appreciate it. I just want to say very quickly, because Chris actually messaged me a couple of days ago, and he said to me, Gary, are you still going to be all right to do the podcast? And I sent him, like I normally do, a 5-minute voice note, as you all know, lads. And I said, absolutely. I said, you know what, with what's happened in the last few days with me and my family, for Andrew, obviously you don't know, but I lost my dad on Thursday night.
I'm sorry, mate.
Quite sudden, but I'm grateful that we was all there as a family. I got to hold his hand where he took his last breath. But listen, like I said, 2 days later, I was in the front room with my mum, organising, all the funeral arrangements and everything else. And still, when I saw Arsenal lose that game in the last...
Still gave you a lift, yeah?
Including my mum, who's a big Liverpool fan, but she looked at me and she went, Dad done that for us. And I was like...
Nice one.
And do you know what? It's just so fitting that you're on, Andrew, when you talk about your friend and you wrote that book, that you're on the show with me. It just was meant to be. But Ricky touched on it, Craig touched on it. This is amazing. And it's not just when you're on the podcast. It's like what Ricky said. When you go to the stadium and you're down the ground and people just come up to you and say, oh, I loved what you said on this show or this or that podcast and stuff. And Ricky, you get it all the time, right? You're big and famous here. But when you have those people that come up to you, they already feel like they know you.
Yeah.
And I love that. I absolutely love that, I just think that's amazing. And also the other thing is people that you would never expect that would watch this Chris Cowling podcast do. And that's what I love. All ages, shapes, it doesn't matter. They all
around
watch
the
podcast,
world.
And it is just a great community. And I'm so grateful that I'm part of it and have been for, I think it's been I don't know, it must be 5-6 years at least now, isn't it? Where's the time gone?
Yeah, since COVID, certainly. Yeah, I think we all started with Chris, certainly around COVID, wasn't it? And yeah, it's weird you saying that about people recognising that. I very rarely get. I don't know whether people think I'm a miserable bastard and don't want to talk to me, or that I look like that I'm not very approachable. I'm not, honestly. I'm quite nice. Come and say hello. I think I've got a really bad face, so I'll leave it there anyway. Look, everybody, thank you very much for joining in, and I hope you've enjoyed the show this evening, talking about another Spurs win. Let's hope we can kick on and get another win at the weekend against Nottingham Forest. So we will see you on that one. I am on the Forest one. Ricky's back. We'll have somebody else with us. I don't know who it is, but I hope you're there for that one. I hope we'll be talking about another victory. And as always, come on you Spurs.
Yeah,